The Gaza Strip is a small piece of land, but it holds a significant place in the hearts and minds of many. It sits between Israel and Egypt, acting as a focal point of regional tensions. Many Palestinians live there, making it one of the most densely populated areas in the world. It's a very crowded place filled with life and struggle. The area has seen a lot of fighting over the years, with conflicts leaving deep scars on the land and its people. In Gaza, there are schools run by the UN, providing a beacon of hope amidst the turmoil. These schools help Palestinian children by giving them a place to learn and grow, despite the challenging circumstances. The UN schools are also seen as safe places. Many people go there when there's danger, seeking shelter and a sense of security. One of these schools is in Jabalia. Jabalia is a refugee camp in Gaza known for its resilience and community spirit. It's home to many Palestinian families. The school there is important to the community, serving as a hub for education and support. On a recent day, this school became the center of a tragedy. It was hit by an airstrike, causing widespread devastation. The attack shocked many people, leaving them in disbelief. It raised questions about safety in Gaza and the vulnerability of even the most protected places. It also made people think about the ongoing conflict, the endless cycle of violence, and the urgent need for peace and stability in the region. The airstrike happened suddenly, without any prior warning or indication. It was early in the morning, a time when many people were still asleep, wrapped in the comfort of their beds. The bombs hit the school without warning, shattering the morning calm with a series of deafening explosions. The sound of explosions woke up the whole area, filling the air with smoke and dust. The attack caused a lot of damage, leaving the school building in ruins and the surrounding area devastated. Parts of the school building fell down, crumbling under the force of the blasts. There was smoke and dust everywhere, making it hard to see and breathe. People were scared and confused, unsure of what had just happened. They didn't know what was happening at first as panic and chaos spread rapidly. Soon the terrible news became clear, and the community was engulfed in grief and shock. At least 16 people had died, and many more were hurt, their lives forever changed. The exact number of injured was hard to know right away, as rescue efforts were still ongoing. Rescue workers rushed to help, their determination unwavering despite the chaos. They had to dig through rubble to find people, hoping to save as many lives as possible. Among the victims were children, innocent lives caught in the crossfire. They had been sleeping in the school, a place they believed to be safe. Their families thought they would be safe there, away from the dangers outside. The attack turned their safe place into a disaster zone, a scene of unimaginable horror. It was a shocking event for everyone in Gaza, a stark reminder of the fragility of life in a conflict zone. After the attack, different groups spoke up. Hamas, which controls Gaza, was angry. They called for international action. Israel's military gave a different view. They promised to investigate further. The United Nations was very upset. Many countries also spoke out. The US said it was deeply saddened by the loss of life. European leaders called for an immediate ceasefire. Arab nations condemned the attack strongly. Everyone agreed it was a tragic event. People who were there told scary stories. Ahmed, a 12-year-old boy, was lucky to survive. A mother named Fatima described the chaos. Fatima found her daughter later, injured but alive. Rescue worker Mahmoud talked about the aftermath. A UN worker at the school, Maria, shared her experience. Background of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has a long and complex history. It goes back many decades, with roots that can be traced to the early 20th century. The main issue at the heart of the conflict is land. Both Israelis and Palestinians claim the same land as their ancestral home, leading to a deep-seated dispute. Israel was created as a Jewish state in 1948, following the end of British rule in the region. Many Palestinians had to leave their homes then. They became refugees facing a new and uncertain future. Some went to Gaza, others went to the West Bank or sought refuge in neighboring countries. Since then, there have been many wars, conflicts, and ongoing violence. Israel has occupied Gaza and the West Bank at different times, further complicating the situation. Palestinians want these areas for their own independent country, a dream that remains unfulfilled. But Israel says it needs to control some areas for security reasons, citing threats to its citizens. The situation in Gaza is especially hard, with severe humanitarian challenges. Hamas, a group that Israel and many countries call terrorists, controls Gaza, adding to the tension. Israel keeps tight control over what goes in and out of Gaza, enforcing a blockade. This has made life very difficult for people there who face daily hardships and a lack of basic necessities. Recent developments leading to the strike. In the weeks before the school attack, things got worse. Hamas fired rockets into Israel. Israel responded with airstrikes on Gaza. Both sides said they were defending themselves. The fighting got more intense. Israel said it was trying to stop the rockets. It also wanted to destroy tunnels that Hamas had built. These tunnels went from Gaza into Israel. Many civilians in Gaza were caught in the middle. Homes, hospitals, and schools were hit. Thousands of people had to leave their houses. Many went to UN schools for safety. Israel warned people in some areas of Gaza to leave, but many had nowhere safe to go. The UN schools became more crowded. People thought they would be safe there. Sadly, even these places were not always safe from the fighting. International response to the incident. The attack on the school caused a big reaction around the world. Many countries spoke out. They said attacking a school was wrong. They called for the fighting to stop. The United Nations held emergency meetings. They talked about how to help people in Gaza. They also discussed ways to stop the violence. The UN said both sides must follow international law. Human rights groups were very upset. They said the attack might be a war crime. They wanted a full investigation. They said someone must be held responsible for the deaths. Many people around the world protested. They marched in cities in Europe, America, and the Middle East. They called for peace. Some criticized Israel, others blamed Hamas. Everyone agreed that innocent people were suffering too much. Calls for investigation and accountability. After the school attack, many voices called for an investigation. The UN said there must be a full inquiry. They wanted to know exactly what happened. They also wanted to make sure it wouldn't happen again. Human rights groups demanded accountability. They said whoever was responsible should face justice. These groups started collecting evidence. They interviewed witnesses and survivors. Israel said it would look into the incident. They promised to share their findings. But some people didn't trust Israel to investigate itself. They wanted an independent investigation. The International Criminal Court was watching closely. They said they might investigate if war crimes happened. This put pressure on both Israel and Hamas. It showed that the world was taking the incident very seriously. Implications for future peace talks. The school attack made peace talks harder. It increased anger on both sides. Palestinians said it showed Israel didn't care about their lives. Israelis said Hamas was to blame for fighting near schools. Some world leaders tried to restart peace talks. They said the violence showed why peace was needed. But it was difficult to get people to talk. There was too much anger and distrust. The attack also changed how some countries saw the conflict. Some that supported Israel started to criticize its actions. This put pressure on Israel to change its approach. For Palestinians, the attack strengthened their call for international protection. They said they couldn't trust Israel to keep them safe. This made the idea of a two-state solution seem further away. Regional stability concerns. The school attack affected the whole region. Other Arab countries got more involved. Egypt tried to arrange a ceasefire. Jordan and Saudi Arabia spoke out against the violence. There were worries the conflict could spread. Lebanon's Hezbollah group threatened to join the fight. This made Israel's northern border tense too. The attack also affected relationships between countries. Some Arab nations criticized Western countries. They said the West wasn't doing enough to stop Israel. The situation in Gaza became a big issue in Muslim countries. There were protests in many places. Some governments faced pressure from their people to do more. This made diplomacy in the region more complicated. Conclusion. The path forward. The attack on the UN school in Gaza was a tragic event. It showed how dangerous the conflict had become. It also highlighted the suffering of civilians in war. Moving forward will be hard. Both sides need to stop fighting. They need to talk to each other. The international community must help make this happen. Protecting civilians must be a top priority. Schools, hospitals, and homes should never be targets. Both Israel and Palestinian groups need to follow this rule. In the end, only peace talks can solve the conflict. It won't be easy. There's a lot of anger and pain. But for the sake of children like those in the Gaza school, leaders must find a way to make peace. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more informative content.